A microaggression.
So can you hear now?
Yep, we did. Thank you.
Think about a time when someone said something about some aspect of your identity that made you feel insulted or slighted. Even if they didn't intend it, you probably experienced a microaggression.
A microaggression is something that someone says to someone else without knowing that it may be offensive.
It hurts. So that's how I know it's a microaggression, because it feels disrespectful.
And it's not like outright racism, but it's something that is like almost unconscious in the way that you view people.
Most microaggressions are subtle and indirect, but they occur frequently in the daily interactions of members of historically underrepresented groups. And most often, people who commit microaggressions think of themselves as well-intentioned, non-racist, non-sexist people. They do not realize that the underlying messages communicated by their actions or comments are hurtful to other people.
One of my friends asked if my parents had their papers. I had a science teacher, a physics teacher, and he told me that I was the smartest black girl in his class.
I've been asked if I understood what they were talking about, or like, do you need any translation and stuff just based on my name?
Like, I'm not the spokesperson for the whole black community, but that's a microaggression I do experience a lot. Like, they want the black perspective, and I'm usually the only black girl in the class. So it's like, okay, what's your take on this?
Oftentimes I get asked, like, do you know how to speak your native language? And when I answer I do, it's just like, they're like, okay, well, what does chinchao mean?
There are 3 types of microaggressions: microassaults, microinsults, and microinvalidations. A microassault is similar to what we think of as overt discrimination. In the case of microassaults, those acts are intentional.
I was a server for a long time, and if anyone else was, you know this. In the back of the kitchen, like when someone gets a table of, like, say, Indian people, I hope this is PC, I don't know all the terms, but like Indian people or black people or anyone, they'd be like, who wants that table? I don't want it, they're not gonna tip. And my heart would break every time.
I used to be a server too, and I hated it because I was like the only person of any type of race other than white. I remember coming in and they'd be like, oh, Danielle, you get that table of raccoons, and I was like, what? And they were like, yeah. And then I would go and I'm like, they're black people, and I was like, wait, is that what you call black people? You call them raccoons?
A microassault can be the deliberate posting of swastikas, Confederate flags, racial slurs or epithets that are left on a blackboard in a classroom.
I work as a research assistant, and so a while ago, one of the our new RAs, when I was a few months into it, came up to me and just mentioned that even though we'd known each other for months at that point, you're the least scary black guy I've ever met. In the way that I dress, the way that I talk, the way that I speak, I've kind of tailored that over the course of my education to be non-threatening.
I will literally have like my keys in my hand, like they're always with me, and I'll just like jingle them as I'm walking so that they know that I know that I'm there, so that we both know that I'm right here and I'm not gonna try and do anything to be stupid. But on that note, there's also the stigma that like we're aggressive and intimidating.
It's sad you have to make sure you let people know you're not a threat. And that's the objective.
One of my friends commented to me, he said, I don't really even think you're black, you're, and I was like, what? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you're smart, you do your work, yes, you're athletic, but you do your work, you're smart. So I don't really know if you're black. I was like, I didn't understand. It made me question who I was and if I was still a part of the culture.
And that's an example.
So I'm going to stop there. This is a great video that I encourage you to continue to look at on your own. I hear a lot, and I've gotten this too. You speak so well. It's like, well, how do you think I should speak? And different comments like that. And the one guy said how it's a shame that you have to show people that you're not threatening, right? And to be honest, I do it just kind of naturally. I just have a natural way of making people comfortable, but I shouldn't have to, or my friends shouldn't have to make people comfortable just because the fact that you know, we are, you know, we're Black. So I encourage you to go and look at what all the different type of microaggressions are and then how they show up. Because that, for me, would be a very important piece to teach your kids, right? This is a clip, just a 2-minute clip of an example of a microaggression. Oh, what happened to my clip? Okay, let's see, hold on. Oh, there you go.
I'm sorry, can you explain one more time why you're telling me to leave?
Yeah, the security guard said that, I'll turn my camera on too.
Yeah, okay.
So the security guard said he I don't know why he does not want you here, so we can go talk to him if you want to.
Yeah, let's go talk to him. Now, how did you approach me at first, though? What'd you say?
I said, what's up, man?
No, you didn't. What'd you say?
I said, hey, what's up, man?
No, what's the first thing you said?
I don't know.
You said, hey, man, you gotta go. And then I said, why?
No, I said, hey, what's up,
No,
man?
The officer said, hey, Ben, you gotta go. So the officer, so he's talking to the officer right there, and the officer came into the store and told him, like, just, hey, man, you gotta go. And then he started filming it, and he's calling the officer out, and the officer kind of changed the story. So just because it's a little hard to hear.
It's fucking ridiculous, man.
Right here.
What's up, boss? What was that?
You just walking around. I don't know what you're looking for.
What do you mean you don't know what I'm looking for? I'm clearly looking for something. Is there a problem with me walking around?
Yeah, if you look suspicious. Yeah.
So the employee said, you're suspicious because you're just walking around looking for something, and I don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
What about me looks suspicious?
I mean, you just walking around.
I'm walking around. I'm literally walking around.
So
I'm looking for a specific cat food. I'm looking for a lint roller, and I'm looking for a soup that I want. And I'm also looking around for stuff that I want to get. I got a flight tomorrow, and I'm looking for shit I could travel with.
So that's that cognitive dissonance, right? You know, he just told him what he was looking for, and this guy want to believe that he's this suspicious Black guy, and he can't let go of that. And so he's wrestling with that right now.
come here for a second. Let me call somebody to help you.
I don't need help.
So now he's want to follow him around the store, right? And the guy said, well, I'll come help you. He was like, I don't need help. My 70-something-year-old mom went through a similar experience, right? Because they were suspicious. They were watching her, whereas it was a middle-aged white woman that was robbing the blind, right? And so my sister asked my mother, like, should we tell them that that woman over there is stealing? And my mother was going to, my mother was going to go tell them, and my sister told her not to. My sister was like, they're so busy watching you, you know, that they should be watching her. So my sister was a little bit offended by that. So he asked if he could follow him around.
Let's go talk to somebody, because I come in here every day. I live right down the street. You want to see my address? Yeah. You want to know where I live? You want to see where I live too, right? Okay. Yeah. You're just choking up right now. You feel that's just 2 blocks away. Hey, do I come in here a lot? Do you recognize me? Yeah. I come in here every night. Okay. And you're saying I look suspicious?
So basically, he comes in there every night. This is a guy who go in there every night. And yet, because microaggression, right? Socialization, Black guy walking around the store, you know, looks suspicious. When I go to the store, I make it a point not to put my hands in my pockets. I make it a point, if I do have something in my hands, you know, to kind of like display it, like, look, I'm not putting it, you know, anywhere. I consciously make those choices so this wouldn't happen to Not to say that it still won't happen to me. As I was saying before, any encounter with the police can be a lethal one. And these are just some recent ones. There are hundreds of incidences where people have called the police when Black folks are just minding their own business. This tells me that we are socialized to mistrust and even hate Black people in this country. Hundreds of examples. One guy was watering his lawn. Police were called. Another guy was trying to get into his own house. Police was called. A Black girl was selling water to raise money. Police was called. A young boy was falsely accused of groping a white woman, and she literally accused this kid of doing that, was calling the police until they went back and looked at the video camera, and it showed that the boy walked past her, but that's it. He walked past her, but she was calling the police on this boy, claiming that he groped her. One guy was just sitting in Central Park, got the police called him. One guy was, and I can relate to this, was driving his own luxury car, and this person would not let him get into his own car because they didn't believe it was his car. And he kept telling her, "That's my car. How did you pay for it?" Don't matter how I paid for it. That's my car. And cannot believe that this person paid for the car. I can attest to my own experience of driving a Lexus. I had, years ago, a nice Lexus. I got pulled over more times in that Lexus than I probably did my entire life. And another one was a guy was trying to enter into an apartment complex, and a woman blocked the door, would not let him enter into the apartment complex because she did not believe he lived there. Those are examples of some modern day aggressions. So in summary, a lot of things that we are dealing with and struggling with today didn't stem from just today. It didn't happen yesterday. The George Floyd murder, is a result of hundreds of years of socialization, is a result of hundreds of years of policies that have oppressed Black people, and 100 of years of indoctrination that Black folks were scary, were inferior, were lazy, were dumb, and was subhuman. And this whole thing started from a story, a made up story that was created to keep and protect and sustain a system that benefited a few, not the whole. So I will end with this, and you already kind of heard me say this, but I was so impressed with this one presentation. I'm gonna let her have what I'll call the Jerry Springer moment. At the very end, you kind of do your own little summary. Well, I'm gonna pass that moment over to her, and then I will give Jenny last words before we sign off. But before I show this, I just want to thank Jenny, Mian, and Claire. Thank you all for creating this opportunity for all of us to stretch and grow, creating this opportunity for us to learn about the true history of race so that we can raise kids that have a racial conscience and have a education equity conscience, okay? That just doesn't happen, right? It has to be intentional. And a lot of times we have to deprogram all the stuff that we learn. We have to unlearn that what we learned. And so I want to thank you for being here. And I know a lot of this stuff was heavy, and a lot of the stuff was probably at some time very difficult. So I just want to thank you for being here and for your participation. So with that said, I'm going to let this speaker give my final words, and then Jenny will be our closing.
Did not look at my child and did not look at her academic record, did not look at, but just because of what he saw when she walked in, crushed her dream. But I don't want to leave you on a downer, and I'm going to tell you there is hope. Because what has been done can be undone. Our brains are malleable. They're these incredible, even though my brain is farting right now, they are incredible. They are these incredible capacity for growth and change. And so you may say to me, Melanie, how do I do this? First, what I want you to do is to call yourself on your own stuff. When you're walking down the street and you see that person come in, you cross over to the other side of the street, call yourself on it. Ask yourself, why did I do that? What did that person do to facilitate that response from me? And then once you've done that, you start looking at yourself. I don't want you to think I don't understand it. This takes you being extremely self-aware. But once you do that, you start having these conversations with your family and friends. It's very easy to have these conversations in the nice, warm, fuzzy places of a TED Talk, but it's much more and it's much different to have it at your Sunday dinner with your mother-in-law. Okay? What we're looking for, we say we want to be better. But in order for us to have this better world we're talking about, we must be better ourselves and be better to each other. We have to move into what I call transformational activism. In order to create a world with equity, we must do some things. First, do your own personal work. 2, make some connections with people that don't look like you. 3, when you have privilege, use your privilege to create equity. And guess what? Many of you in this room have it. Use it. And 4, intentionally and deliberately engage in non-biasing activities. That means get out of homogeneous groups, get into some heterogeneous groups where not everybody's the same, and start learning some stuff. Take that stuff and share it with others. I want to leave you with some new language. Ubuntu. It's a Nigeri Bantu word that translates into the idea of I am who I am because of who we all are. And we are who we are because of who I am. It talks about the interconnectedness of us all. It is one step beyond I am my brother or sister's keeper. It is I am my brother and sister and they are me. I see you, I see myself. When you look at yourself next time, see me.
And with that said, I'm turning